Welcome to the power parameters quick demonstration video of multi-run batch testing. For this test we will be using the Time WDW-5E 5 kN universal testing machine. Currently we have the machine fitted with tensile grips. As you can see here, we also have the compression grips, so it can also be used as a compression tester. And your other grip here. But currently it is set up as tensile testing, however it is a universal testing machine. We also have here our user's handbook. This is the handbook for the software. Teaches you how to use the software, all the different facilities, and setting up graphs, setting up reports, saving and so forth. Very detailed, as you can see. 126 pages in all in English. This comes with the machine. For the test today, I will be reading off my PowerPoint slide presentation and doing all the things that I specified in here. It will be a continuous video, hopefully start to finish. It may get a little bit slow and boring in between, but it shows that there's no tricks or no scamming. Okay, so first step we have here is open software. So double click up here and we open the software. Then second step we click testing. As you can see up here we click testing and our screen comes up. We go to our third slide and it says set crosshead to appropriate height and 0. So with our controller we set the crosshead up or down to the appropriate height, which it is here, and we set 0, and it shows here set 0. Okay, slide number 4. To set up for tests, click New Specimen. So we come down here and we click New Specimen. Slide 5. Enter specimen information, in this case packing tape. So in here, material, we can type in my example I've got packing tape. So we can write it like so. If it's a multiple test, click batch newly built. So we're going to do here, we're going to do 2 tests. It can be 1 test, it can be 2 tests, it can be 200 tests, but basically a batch test. So I'm going to click batch newly built, as it says on the slide. Slide 6. Okay, here we have begin with string fixed. And as it says in the slide, this can be what you choose. You can write whatever you want in there. In this case, I'm going to write sample. The next step would be changing section digital, which is this section here. This must be starting with number 1 and then ending with the final batch number. In this case, I'm going to do 2 tests and I'm going to end it with number 2. Okay, so then I click OK. Slide number 7. Set appropriate test procedure. In this case, pull apart 100 millimeters per minute. So what we've got here, the test I'm going to do a pull apart tensile test, and I'm going to do it at, I can put whatever rate I want in here. In this case I'm going to do 100 millimeters a minute. You've got here in our newly built specimen our 2 samples with our length 150 millimeters, which I've entered in. Our width is 1 millimeter, so we click OK to get out of that. We go to the next slide. It says you can scroll up or down sample numbers. That is here scrolling up or down sample numbers. So you can see at the bottom number 1 or number 2. Sample 1 is the first sample we want to do. So you need to ensure that you're on order number 1, sample number 1. Okay. If you're on sample number 2, as you can see here, go back to sample number 1. Slide 9, fit, sample and run test. In this case it is a simple packing tape test. So here we go. So we've fitted our sample as so, and then we run our test. To run the test we press start. Because we've already got our speeds and everything in there, we press start like so. Now you can see the test is running, you can see the force is growing and the crosshead is growing. It's now pulling the sample apart, and we just have to let that perform its task. Sample has broken, so now we go to slide number 10. Okay. Sample, please save test data. Because it's clicked, autosave has already been preset as advised in the user's handbook. We already have that, so we can press OK. If you want to have a look at the curve a little bit more progressive, we can click on auto adaptation, but not necessary. Alright, so there is our graph. On slide number 10 it says, when test complete, click return to send crosshead to start position. So let's click return. You can see now the crosshead is returning to the start position. We can then pull our sample out. Like so. What else does it say here? Click arrow to next number in batch. So now we move our little arrow over to sample number 2. And we can see here, sample number 2. We then put in our next sample. Like so. So click arrow to next number in batch, repeat this test for all batches. So now we press start and we're starting the test again. You can see here now it's pulling the sample apart. Again our crosshead is moving and our load is moving. So we just have to let that perform its task. And like so, the sample is broken. We click OK to get out of that. We go on to slide number 11. It says, after the testing is complete, to view or analyze, click data process. If you want, we can click return to the start position. That is your call. You don't have to do that. I'll just do it just to show you. So you can see here it's returning to the start position, and it's in the start position ready for you to put your next test. Again, you'll see that I haven't had to touch the up and down or anything. It's all automatic. So back to where we were. After testing complete, to view, analyze, click data process. So we click data process. We go on to slide number 12 now. Click file operation, like so. Then click open multi-curve data file. Open multi-curve data file. Then we go on to slide number 13. Click the tests you want, press shift to add extra ones. So you can see here, these are the 2 tests on today's date, the 5th of the 3rd. Sample 1 and sample 2. We did 2 tests, so we can click 1. Hold the shift button down and hold the second one. Okay, so we've got those 2 there, and then we click open. Now you can see on the screen we have our 2 tests. Okay, we have sample 1, sample 2, we have a displacement along the bottom, and we have a load up the top. You can also see here test date, you can have the material, and you can see here the sample number, sample 1, sample 2, the gauge area, the length, the size. You can actually alter that to whatever you want it to be. It is all in the user's handbook, which is the software handbook. It also has here the peak force. Okay, so you can see here on sample 2 the peak force was 2.099. You can see here on sample 1 the peak force was 1.983. Okay, so now we go on to the next slide. The next slide says, slide number 14 says screen now has all 5 curves. In the slide presentation we did 5 graphs. In this case we're only doing 2 just to save a little bit of time. So we've gone over the graph, and you can see the 2 graphs, and you can see the sample, you can see the results, everything on the one screen. We go to slide number 15. Right, click F report, which is up here, F report. Then it says, then click batch report print. Batch report print is here, and we can print. What we have here is the report as you have set it up. Okay, so now we have the test report. Because the reports haven't been set up with your logos in there, it doesn't show any of the logos. To put the logos in, you just have everything in your user's handbook. Again, it shows how to put the reports in, how to set them up, and put all your logos and NATA logos and everything in there to suit your or your customer's requirements. Okay, so you have your test report, your sample 1, sample 2, the size, the force, the maximum force here, and all the other relevant information. If you want, you can scroll down, and at the bottom of the page it has the graphs there. Again, you can configure the whole page to what you want. The information is in the user's handbook. You can have tester, put your details in there, and so forth. Now, you can click that and save that. So what we do here, according to slide number 16, click save and name it. So what I'm going to name it is I'm going to call it 2 sample test. Okay, and I'll click save. This saves the report and so forth. Now if you want to print it, it is a case of pressing print up here. Because we're on the print preview page, we can see what the print is going to look like. We don't have a printer hooked up right now, so we can't do that. What we can do though is just to show, we'll close that off, and we can then say recall that report up. We can then open the report, and we can then look for all our different reports. Here we have a 5-run test, a previous test that we've done. You can see here now we have sample 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was done at another time, and we can see our 5 graphs down here. What we can then do, if you want to bring up that 2 sample that was done earlier on, which could have been done last year for effect, 2 sample test, and so forth. So now we have our 2 sample test that was performed earlier, and we can scroll down and you can see it all here, your 2 graphs. Again, once your report has been set up with all your information, it will have your logos and everything in there. So there we've just performed a complete test, a multi-batch test with auto save, auto return, all in a single operation, very fast and very smooth. We did that just then by following all the instructions on the PowerPoint presentation that has been sent to you. Also, that PowerPoint presentation is on your computer, on the supplied computer, right here under copy instruction. So if you get confused or a little bit unsure, you can then click on that and you'll have that there. Being a PowerPoint presentation, you will need to put PowerPoint on this computer to make it work. Otherwise, you can do it on your another desktop or laptop. But everything is there, easy to work and very simple. Thank you for your time, and talk to you soon.